Hello and welcome to the Garian Tabletop. I am Garian Reaver and this is the Far Waste Devlog number 6. In the last couple and the next few devlogs, I'm going through various player genera and species, basically player races. If you haven't seen it, check out Devlog 3, now numbered for your convenience, about the basics of player options, linked at the end and in the description. As always, any content in this is subject to change as the game grows and I get feedback. If you have any thoughts, don't hesitate to put them in the comments or come join us on the Garian Reaver Discord, also linked in the description. This is the other staple of post-apocalyptic or sci-fi stuff, and you may be thinking, robot isn't a genus, robot isn't even a species, and yeah, you're right, it's not, but they are sentient creatures that reproduce and perceive the world, and there is only so accurate I can be when there is so much variety in this game. Robots. Artificial intelligence, the means by which a computer or robot gains sentience, was developed decades before the apocalypse. It saw extensive use in defense technology, so-called living weapons, management of nuclear stockpiles, and early warning systems. It could be surprising, therefore, that there is no indication AI had any hand in the global catastrophe that brought civilization crashing down. That was all on humans. Even ignoring the military funding for AI applications, it was commonplace technology in everything from chatbots to robot butlers. In the last few years, before everything fell apart, it had actually become more usual one would see robots roaming the streets than cars driving along them, but that may have been connected to increasing fuel shortages. Powered by self-contained batteries rechargeable at all good shops, self-capable robotics became a very viable replacement for personal transportation and convenience. Given the dominance of the technology pre-poc, it's no surprise that numerous units still operate today. Largely denied any kind of legal rights before the bombs, AI found new life in the anarchic wastes where all intelligent beings survived off their own abilities. Seizing and restoring a few of the countless robotics plants across the UE, some even able to replicate their functionality in more compact and defensible locations, AI-powered robots became just another genus that embraced their new lease on existence. These days, robots of all kinds are accepted to be as free and individual as humans themselves, although they don't often receive the same protections from groups like the Vanguard Militia. There are some settlements, however, where an extra working pair of hands, without adding a hungry mouth, is a welcome addition. Unlike the other genera I've shown so far, robots do not have a universal stat boost. Theirs is decided by the species. There is also currently only one species that I know will be in the original release. I've got several others planned, but I might save them for a more sort of robot-centric expansion. But even with only one, you'll find that they're quite an overhaul from organic genera. They have one genus trait and it's a big one: artificial lifeform. Robots, unsurprisingly, are not made of flesh and blood. You therefore do not suffer from many of the same weaknesses that organic creatures do. The flip side, however, is that you are vulnerable to things that organic brains are not. You automatically pass any mind and body checks you're required to make, except those that make sense affecting a machine. You are also susceptible to hacking, which is resisted by either a mind or body check. In addition, you never need to eat, drink, breathe, or sleep. Instead, you must power down for 4 hours a day or suffer effects identical to sleep deprivation. You must also recharge from a tier 4 power source at least once a week. You are immune to nerve, toxic, radiation, and suffocation damage, and you cannot mutate or gain mutation slots. You cannot be healed by chemicals. Mechanics checks replace any use medicine checks would normally have on you. That's a lot, so we'll go through it in stages. I've talked a couple of times about MBS or mind, body and soul checks. They're basically how you resist negative effects. A big thing here is that the mechanics around what mind and body checks robots make, and what healing would be effective, are deliberately vague. It'd be virtually impossible to try and predict or list what would and wouldn't make sense for them, so this is a case of putting trust in the individual GMs. That's the thing I want to lean into in Far Waste. I've seen too many games devolve into arguing with the GM over wording. I think it's better to set guidelines, give the impression or point you want to get across, and leave it to the individuals to decide. Similarly, hacking can be resisted by either mind or body checks. Perhaps the best way to determine which to roll is whether the hacking is trying to inhibit function, a body check, or hijack control, a mind check. Next is power source tiers. This is an idea I've just sort of mocked up. A few different items and abilities will tie into these tiered power sources. Essentially, as it currently stands, there are 10 tiers, ranging from a battery for a handheld torch to infinite power that exists purely theoretically. Most of these tiers won't play a role in the average game, but Tier 4 is suitable for integrated technology like large computers. It's basically to balance the lack of need for supplies, but has the option of finding or creating a suitable power source that's portable. Let's see, damage types. Currently there are 11 damage types visible on screen now. Aside from weapons stuff, I've not thought about the combat a lot. There have been some cool ideas raised on the Discord, so you can consider this placeholder. Mutation we covered in DevLogs 3 and 5, but healing. There will be a passive heal over time for all characters, but the chemist is the dedicated healer class. In this world, chemicals are the most common healing for organic people. There will be like repair kit items, and maybe the machinist will get some ability too. Consider that a work in progress. I mean, it's all a work in progress, but you know what I mean. Finally, note that robots must take soul checks as normal. Soul checks are what you roll to try and avoid dying when you're at 0 health. You'll find that the term soulless machines is actually quite offensive. The only species I'm certain will be available originally is the android. Technically speaking, an android is any robot that looks like a human being. Ever a popular aesthetic, most of the first generation of free-moving robots looked somewhat human, the designs only improving as time went on. By the time of the apocalypse, especially after the invention of artificial intelligence, androids were one of the most profitable consumer products on the planet. It's no different post-poc, with humanoid robots being overwhelmingly the most common kind seen in and around the far wastes. It's no accident that humanity became the dominant species in the world. Perhaps their secret lies in their design. Most units are roughly comparable to a similar being of flesh and blood, with hardened combat androids being a rarity. For obvious reasons, they tend to have a better than average understanding of machinery, but androids are no more likely to become mechanics than humans are to become doctors. With fully generated personalities and learning matrices, they also benefit from an almost literal photographic memory, albeit generally short-term. In fact, the range of individuality among androids is no less than their organic neighbours, even extending to appearance. Some units seem content to exist as barely more than metal endoskeletons, while other models support cutting-edge photorealistic faux skin and even hair. These days, the term android is a bit paradoxical. It's both generically broad and strangely exclusive. Humans are no longer the only intelligent bipedal genus out there, but robots taking inspiration from Kraken, Lutran, or any other non-human species are still considered androids. They have the same basic functions after all, even if they have vestigial wings or mouth arms. On the other hand, there are examples of humanoid bipedal robots that are not called androids, such as the Pharaoh-Dryads and some Vectorline units seen. Essentially, if there's something that supersedes their basic functioning, a robot is known by that. Otherwise, a humanoid robot is an android. For their stat boosts, androids get a +2 and a +1 to different stats, one of which has to be tech. Their species trait is 4 petabyte RAM. Back in the day, it was common to ship factory standard robots with boosted RAM to allow them to comfortably learn and perform their tasks. Very few manufacturing hubs chose to deviate from that blueprint, meaning most androids today sport a little over 4 petabytes of RAM in their CPUs. This gives you an impressive short-term memory. You can accurately recall details you have seen in the last week. This includes things like maps, routes taken, passwords and codes, numbers up to 12 digits, and anything you've seen written down. You cannot necessarily replicate images, but you have a perfect mental picture. As with the other genera, androids get something additional at level 7. They can allocate RAM. At level 7, or upon any future level up, you can choose to give up your 4 petabyte RAM trait to instantly increase any stat by 2. Once done, this cannot be reversed. The standard robot, if there is such a thing, has great potential for specialization or day-to-day efficiency. Their innate boosted tech means they make great machinists and scrappers, which would also help with their inability to heal via chemicals. That said, they have the powerful potential of giving up their extra memory to instantly boost any stat by 2. Maps and numbers can be useful and all, but extra stats always help. And that's about it for robots, for now. I've basically planned out all the genera now, and I'm trying to pin down stuff like the health scale. For now, I'll keep doing these genus videos until I have something else to show off. If you like the sound of anything I've talked about here, come and give us a hand. I'm working on this with the help of the people over on the Gary and Reaver Discord, which is linked in the description. Come and share your thoughts, or just drop in and show your support. I'd also appreciate it if you shared this round to anyone you know who might be interested. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe for more Far Waste devlogs, or for board games, card games, miniatures, and TTRPGs like this. And I will catch you later.